All right. Let's answer some questions.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
Okay, so first and foremost, thank you guys so much for actually commenting. I really do appreciate it. I did a members only post in which, if you're a YouTube member, I post this on here. I also did on Patreon, and I'll look at the Patreon one and do that as a separate video at another time. But right now, I did want to look at this one, and there's a couple questions in here that I really liked, but honestly, they're like this. They're the same question. So I just wanted to answer this and just give you my thoughts on it. So this is going to be a little bit more laid back. It's not going to be a long video or anything like that. But yeah, I just want to kind of go through my thoughts on what I think the San Antonio Spurs should do right now. So here's the question. Should the Spurs target anyone in free agency with the current constructed roster? If so, who and why? All right, I'll start there. And this is from Alex Adams. First and foremost, no. Strangely enough, the guy that I wanted is gone. I wanted Mitchell Robinson. I was like, that would be a good pickup. And then I said, well, Kyle Anderson would be a good pickup. Somebody who's kind of a vet, already knows the Spurs system and kind of help the young guys. But no, he's gone. So yeah, it's really no one on the free agency market right now that I think that I would just go all in on. And I looked through it again, and there's just nobody. I think as it stands right now, I think the Spurs are doing a very good job of when they went and signed Gorgie Jang. That's a good signing because that's a guy that's not going to cost a lot. You put him on a 1-year deal, and at the same time, yes, be honest, he's a really good vet, so he can kind of help the young guys. And Zach Collins is a guy that we don't know if he's going to be fully healthy. We have no idea. Now, with that being said, there's another question that you added onto this, and this is very similar to the one that Brian McHaney said. So you said, if you were the GM, what type of moves would you make with the current roster? Trades, release, free agency, 2 contracts, etc. Okay. There's only one thing on my mind right now, okay? And if this changes, if I think of something else, I promise I will make a video on it. But as it stands right now, I'm one track mind, okay? I'm tunnel vision. And my tunnel vision right now says, get rid of Jakob Poeltl. And it's not that Jakob is a bad player by any means. It's just, look, I'll be honest. You know, we're talking about a timeline here. He's 26. He's going to be up for a contract, which I think that Jakob is worth a decent contract in the NBA. Like, I really do believe that. But I don't know if the San Antonio Spurs would necessarily want to pay it. Could we afford it? Yeah, the Spurs could afford it. But is it really worth it? Probably not. Like, I really do like Jakob Poeltl, but at the same time, he's not necessarily a player that I see long term, okay, or that he's an essential piece to what we do. And he's even kind of hinted towards not really wanting to be with the Spurs. Like, he said that he's cool with being with the Spurs, but every time I hear him speak, it sounds like something a little different. So I don't think he's 100% in. If we give him his money, I'm sure he's fine, but I don't think he's 100% in. So we only have him for 1 year. You'll be paying about $9 million. I think that you could possibly, especially, and I think the Spurs are kind of holding out for this. I think you could probably trade Jakob for a first-round pick. I mean, at least one. Probably not unprotected, but you could probably get him for a first-round pick. Teams that might need him. I said Charlotte Hornets, but you saw the moves they made in the draft, so who knows? Charlotte Hornets initially wanted him, but maybe they don't want him anymore. One thing that I was kind of shocked by, I was expecting the Chicago Bulls to actually go after a center in the draft, which they didn't. They went after Dalen Terry, which I said, well, you definitely need some type of defensive center. Why not try to go after Jakob Poeltl? So that's another guy, so or another team. So I think that those two teams are something that we can kind of try to make something happen with. It's not necessarily anything I would want out of it other than a first-round pick. I mean, we are fully rebuilding. Let's go all in. Yes, invest in the future. Another player that I think we need to move, which I was like shocked that we still have, Romeo Langford. Guys, I don't think Romeo Langford is going to get any playing time. I know a lot of people, especially when we first got him, that the Celtics fans were excited. They were like, oh, he can develop under Pop and everything. I'm like, I don't know. Like, we haven't really played him. From everything that I've seen, he's okay. He's good. But then sometimes his motor seems a little low. I could be wrong. Okay, he could be fine. But at the same time, with the other guys that we have coming in, I mean, we have some really good talent coming in. If you can move him, I don't know if this is possible, but if you could move him for a second-round pick, I'm all on board for it. I think that would be a good move. One other player that I think you could move that could probably help quite a bit is Josh Richardson. If somehow, some way, you can move Josh Richardson and get another first-round pick, So Jakob get a first rounder, Josh Richardson get a first rounder, maybe send him to a contender or something like that. I think that that's a really good move as well, because while he is a vet and I think he can help the young guys, I don't necessarily think it's a necessity to have Josh Richardson. You have Jane coming in. Hopefully you can get another center, another big that's a nice vet. And, you know, we do have Manu Ginobili, who's always in these guys' ears. So, yeah. All I'm trying to say is I don't necessarily think Josh Richardson is an essential piece for the San Antonio Spurs. And I think he should be with a team that is more of a contender, or a team that's at least better than what we're about to witness right now. So those are the guys that I definitely would sit back and say, let's try to move them. Doug McDermott is one where I think keeping him is fine. I'm okay with keeping Doug McDermott. You're going to need a little bit of that versatility from the power forward to small forward position throughout this season. You don't want, here's the thing, it's a really sweet spot that I want the Spurs are in, okay? Spurs in, and it's going to sound bad, but hey, it is what it is, okay? I want the San Antonio Spurs to be in a position where they have decent pieces, like they have all of the positions that they need, but they're not necessarily, or those players aren't necessarily gonna equal to more wins. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why I wouldn't go out in free agency and think about winning right now. Doug McDermott is the perfect piece for that, because he's a nice veteran. You can fit him at the small forward or power forward. I think he's pretty happy with the Spurs right now. And on top of it, he's not going to necessarily help you win, but he is going to help the development of the younger guys. Having a guy that can catch and shoot, who's pretty high IQ. Doug McDermott does have a pretty high basketball IQ. I think that he's perfect with someone like Joshua Primo and Malachi Branham, who are very high IQ players, and Sohan as well. So all I'm trying to say is I think that that's a good piece just to have, not necessarily move them. Now, if you get the right price for it, sure, like go all in, do your thing. But as it stands right now, I would keep him. So main guys I would get rid of, I'm thinking Josh Richardson, Jakob Poeltl, Romeo Langford. And if you can get out of these three, 2 first rounders and 1 second rounder, I think that you're in a really good spot, a really nice spot. Now, as far as who else you would sign, to me, it doesn't really matter. Just as long as it's a vet who's not necessarily going to push you over the top. Another reason too as well that I think moving these guys make a lot of sense, we might want to match contracts. I'm not completely sure how the Spurs will want to do it, but I'm going to make an assumption that we would have even more cap space, and I think that this will be a good move for if you want to take on a Westbrook contract. Obviously you wouldn't play Westbrook, okay? You would like waive him. You would just take on his contract. But if you wanted to do something like that, I think that's a really good way of doing it, just to get a little bit more cap space, get a little bit more room, and take him on if you can. Just so you can kind of invest in your future and get whatever you can out of it. So all I'm trying to say is I think these 3 guys need to be gone. But yeah, I appreciate all the love, guys. I appreciate everyone answering questions. What was that? Windows security. Anyways, but I appreciate all the love. I appreciate the questions. Like I said, I'm gonna do more of these, and there's a few other questions on here too that I'll do a video on. But yeah, so I'm gonna do more of these for YouTube members and Patreon members. So if you guys want to support the channel, it's only $2 per month. Link in the description. It's really easy. Thanks for the love. And Brian Mahoney, I'm sorry. He basically just said, which of the remaining players should we keep versus trade and why? And I think I answered that. So I'll give you guys later. Until next time, man. Deuces.